Posted by you/not even drying. There was a men's shirt in our dryer that didn't belong to me. That's how this started. No dramatic text. No lipstick on a collar. Just a stupid, too small powder blue button-down shirt tumbling in with my socks. I pulled it out slowly, like it might bite. Held it up. Stared at it. Not mine. Wrong size, wrong brand, wrong everything. I haven't worn anything that slim fit since 2017, and even then, it was a mistake. My wife, Darla, was in the kitchen making tea. She always uses loose leaves and this little metal ball infuser like it's the 1800s. I walked in, holding the shirt like a piece of contaminated evidence. "Hey," I said, casual. "Whose shirt is this?" She didn't turn around, just stirred her tea and said, "What shirt?" "The shirt. This damn shirt. The one from the dryer in our laundry room. The one that didn't belong to anyone who was supposed to be in this house." She finally glanced over, blinked, too slowly. "Oh," she said. "That's probably Noah's. I think he left it here after he spilled something." Noah. Right. Noah is her dance partner. He's also the kind of guy who calls women "milady" unironically and wears rings on all his fingers like he's auditioning for a pirate reboot. I never liked him. Not because he was charming, he's not, but because he acted like he already owned part of her life that I was only renting. "He did laundry here?" I asked. She laughed, a little too hard. "No, I just offered to dry it. It was soaked, and he had another class right after." I didn't say anything, just held the shirt up again, like it would speak for itself. That night, I checked our security camera footage. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but I'm not proud. I just needed to know. We have a front porch cam, motion activated, records whenever someone comes in or out. That day, Noah never came to the door. So where did the shirt come from? The next morning, she asked if I could pick up oat milk on my way home. I smiled, nodded, kissed her cheek. And that's when I smelled it. Cologne. Not mine. Definitely not mine. It smelled like pine and spice and something synthetic. Like what a man wears when he's trying to seem older, more established. It wasn't on her neck. It was on her hair. Let me be clear. I'm not crazy. I'm not the jealous type. I don't check her phone. I don't track her location. I don't count how many minutes she's at rehearsal. But I remember every scent I've ever worn. And this one punched me in the throat. That day, I opened her gym bag while she was in the shower. Inside, I found her water bottle, 2 tangled pairs of tights, 1 missing earring, and a single receipt. From a hotel bar, 2 drinks, 1 glass of wine, 1 old-fashioned, 7:42 p.m. Wednesday. That was the same night she said rehearsal ran late because of floor waxing. So I waited until Friday night at her cousin's engagement party. Everyone was dancing, laughing, taking pictures with fairy lights and champagne. And then the music changed, a slow, swinging jazz tune. She looked at me, then looked past me, straight at him. Noah. He walked up and offered his hand. She took it, right in front of me, and she danced with him like I wasn't even there, like I was invisible, like I wasn't the one who paid for her car insurance and clipped her cat's nails because she was scared to do it. She smiled, she laughed, she laid her head briefly on his shoulder, just for a second, but it felt like my chest caved in. I didn't say a word. I just walked away, out the door, past the buffet, into the parking lot, where the music faded into nothing. I think that was the moment she realized, the moment she knew the game was over. I waited by the car for 10 minutes, just standing there like a moron with my keys in my hand, staring at nothing. She didn't come after me, not once. No text, no call. I wasn't expecting a dramatic chase scene, but some acknowledgement that I'd left the room would have been human. When I finally got in the car, I didn't drive off. I just sat there. My hands were shaking, not from rage, but from the kind of quiet, pathetic confusion that hits you when your brain's catching up to something your heart already knows. You ever feel like you're the punchline to a joke no one told you you were in? It wasn't just the dance. It was the comfort, the ease, the familiarity she had with him. That wasn't a one-time mistake. That was a pattern rehearsed in secret, played out in public, like I was the stranger and he was the husband. I drove home, alone. I even made the bed before I left because I still had this stupid habit of trying to keep things nice for her. There's this thing you do in long relationships. You keep showing up, even when it feels like no one notices. You clean the dishes. You change the sheets. You pretend that effort still means something. She came home 3 hours later, said the party went long. I nodded, asked if she had fun. She said it was cute. Cute. That's what she called the night I watched my marriage dissolve under fairy lights. I waited until she fell asleep before I checked her phone. I know, not proud. I wasn't even looking for cheating at that point. I just needed to see something that made sense. A message, a photo, even a note to herself. But there was nothing recent from Noah. In fact, there was barely anything recent at all. Like it had been scrubbed, except one thing. One voice memo. Not from him. From her. It was dated 3 weeks ago. Title: Don't forget. I played it. Her voice came through, quiet, whispering like she was trying not to be overheard. 6 words. If he finds out, it's over. That's it. No context, no names. Just her voice, raw and afraid. I didn't sleep that night. And the next day, I decided I was going to find out exactly what she thought was over. The next morning, she acted normal. Too normal. She asked if I wanted eggs or cereal, complained about the weather, reminded me the trash went out on Tuesdays like we hadn't just crossed some invisible line the night before. I watched her the way you watch a staged magician after you've figured out the trick. Every gesture suddenly suspicious, every smile slightly delayed. I didn't confront her. I've never been good at confrontation. I'm the kind of guy who rehearses arguments in the shower and then forgets every line when the moment comes. So instead, I did something quieter and worse. I started paying attention. That afternoon, she said she was going to the studio early to stretch and prep. I nodded, waited 5 minutes, then grabbed my jacket and left too. I didn't follow her car like some movie villain. I followed the lie, the timeline, the gaps. The studio parking lot was empty when I drove by. No lights on, no music leaking through the windows like usual. I sat there longer than I should have, feeling stupid, until I realized something that made my stomach drop. If she wasn't there, and she wasn't home, then the question wasn't, where is she? It was, where does she go when she doesn't need to pretend? I went back home and checked the shared calendar on our fridge. Her handwriting was everywhere. Rehearsals, classes, brunches, reminders to hydrate. One thing stood out. Every Wednesday night, just a small dot. No label, no note, just a dot. I checked the date on the hotel bar receipt again. Wednesday. That evening she came home late, said she was exhausted, said she loved me, said it in the same tone you'd use on a cashier. I said it back. The words tasted like cardboard. After she fell asleep, I opened my laptop and did something I hadn't done in years. I logged into an old email account we shared back when we first moved in together. It was still linked to our cloud storage. Buried in the photos, between grocery lists and screenshots of recipes, was a short video clip. Dated 2 months ago. Taken at night. It showed a hotel hallway, soft carpet, dim lights, and at the end of the clip, a door closing from the inside. I closed the laptop and just sat there, listening to her breathe beside me, realizing that whatever I thought was happening, I was already late to it. I waited until Wednesday, marked it on the calendar, circled it in my head, replayed the voice memo at least 20 times. I didn't confront her about it. Honestly, I was scared of what she might say. I'd rather build my own horror movie in my head than hear her calmly explain why I was being paranoid again. I needed something real, something undeniable. So I followed the dot. That night, after she left with her gym bag and a vague excuse about quote zero again, I didn't trail her car. I already knew better. Instead, I checked our home Wi-Fi router. She never logs out of her email. And lucky for me, she left her laptop open in the office. Within 5 minutes, I had the name of the hotel from the video clip. The place was on the edge of downtown, quiet. Not the kind of hotel you book for comfort or a vacation. The kind where people go to disappear for a night or two. No frills, no valet. I parked across the street and waited, heart pounding like a bass drum in my throat. 8:03 p.m. A silver sedan pulled in. Her car. I ducked down just enough to avoid being seen, but high enough to see her step out. Black hoodie, hair pulled back, not dressed like someone going to dance. She looked around like she'd rehearsed it, like this wasn't the first time. Then another car pulled in. Not Noah, some other guy. Clean-shaven, scruffy jacket, gym duffel in hand. She smiled when she saw him. That kind of smile that's too easy, too familiar. And then they walked in together. I sat in my car for nearly 20 minutes before I convinced myself to move. I didn't barge in. I didn't scream in the lobby like a maniac. I just walked into the elevator after a couple stepped out and hit the button for the 3rd floor. No plan, no script. Just that boiling numbness spreading through me like cold air in my lungs. When I got to the hallway, I didn't know which room. I didn't need to. One of the doors was slightly open, just a crack, like someone forgot to pull it all the way shut. I stepped closer. Inside, I could hear laughter. Her voice, his voice, music playing low from a phone speaker. Then a thud followed by more laughing. Pillows? A struggle? I don't know. It sounded playful. And then, something worse. Silence. Not peace. Intimate silence. That low, breathless kind where you don't need words anymore. That kind of quiet is louder than shouting when it's your wife behind the door. I didn't go in. I didn't knock. I just turned and walked out. My chest so tight I thought I might pass out in the elevator. I drove home, went straight to the kitchen, and started cleaning the blender. Not because it was dirty, but because I didn't know what else to do with my hands. When she came home 2 hours later, she said she was starving and asked if we had any of that leftover tomato soup. I told her, yeah, it's in the fridge. She kissed my cheek and said I was the best. She had no idea I'd been right outside the door. And the worst part, I still couldn't bring myself to ask her anything. The next day was Thursday. She kissed me goodbye like nothing had happened, then left for the studio. I stood in the kitchen for a full 5 minutes just staring at the floor. Then I went into our bedroom, opened her nightstand drawer and took her gym bag. I'd seen her stuff it in there last night when she came back. Same routine, same fake stretch about being sore from floor exercises. It always went in the same place. I wasn't even being sneaky anymore. I didn't care. I took the bag into the living room and dumped everything out onto the carpet. Tights, a towel, a couple of hairbands, a protein bar wrapper. Then I found it, a folded napkin from the hotel bar. Same logo as the receipt I'd seen earlier. But this time, someone had written on it in blue ink. Next time, room 219. Quieter. I froze. The handwriting wasn't hers. Definitely not Noah's. I'd seen his on a birthday card once, all big and loopy. This one was messy, rushed, male. I stared at it like it might start smoking in my hand. That wasn't even the worst part. At the very bottom of the bag, inside a zipped mesh compartment, was a receipt. Not from the hotel, from a pharmacy. Her name printed on it. Dated 2 days before. One item, Plan B. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. It felt like my ears filled with static. I just sat there, staring at the paper, my hands shaking, that rising panic curling in my stomach like acid. We hadn't been intimate in nearly a month. She said she was tired, stressed, overworked, said she felt bloated, said she wasn't in the mood lately. I believed it. I wanted to believe it. But now I was holding a receipt that made everything go still. I didn't know who it was for, or when, or why. All I knew was it wasn't for us. I put everything back in the bag, zipped it up, and returned it to the drawer like nothing had happened. Then I sat on the couch in total silence for hours. At one point, I think I heard a delivery truck outside, or maybe the mail. I couldn't tell. My head was roaring with so much white noise, I thought I might be having a stroke. When she came home that night, she was glowing, laughing about a student who fell during a spin. Said something about how clumsy people make the best dancers because they're used to losing control. She looked me in the eye when she said that. I nodded, smiled. Told her I'd made dinner. Pasta. Nothing special. But I made it just how she liked. Lots of garlic. Little too much salt. She told me I was sweet. Then she asked if I could wash her gym bag over the weekend. Said it was starting to smell funky. I told her I'd take care of it. And for the first time in a long while, I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because I finally understood what she thought I was. Blind, stupid, disposable. She had no idea what was coming next. That weekend, while she was out for coffee with an old friend, her words casual as ever, I did something I never thought I'd do. I packed a small USB stick, drove to the nearest print and ship place, and made high-resolution scans of everything. The napkin, the Plan B receipt, even the time-stamped video from the cloud folder I'd found 2 weeks earlier. It felt ridiculous, like I was assembling a dossier for a crime that no one else knew had been committed. But I needed proof, not for court, not for some big blow-up, just for me. Because when someone lies to your face enough times, you start to doubt your own reality. And I wanted mine back. I stored the USB in an old hollowed-out speaker in my garage. She never touches my tools, never goes near anything that smells like dust or grease. It was the one place I knew was safe. Then I went home, pulled everything else out of the bag again, laid it on the kitchen table, took one last long look, and burned it all in the fire pit out back. No drama, no ceremony, just flame and smoke and the sick smell of synthetic fabric curling into ash. I even scrubbed the metal zip pulls so there'd be no trace. She came back later than expected, said her friend had a family emergency mid-latte and had to run, so she took the long way home. She smelled like hotel soap. That night, I didn't sleep again. I just laid next to her and stared at the ceiling. I couldn't stop thinking about how many people must have known before me. Did her dance friends know? Did Noah? Was Noah even involved anymore? Or was that just a decoy? Maybe he was just the public flirt to keep eyes off the real thing. Whoever had the messy handwriting and liked room 219. The next morning, I noticed something new. Her phone had a new passcode, subtle, different by one number. She changed it, and that told me everything I needed to know. She knew someone was watching. Maybe not who, maybe not when, but she felt it. She felt the shift. Her walls were going up. And mine were coming down. I stopped trying to catch her. I wasn't chasing shadows anymore. I started listening more closely to her words, not for lies, but for patterns. She always repeated phrases when she was covering something up. "You trust me, right?" Or, "I'd never do anything to hurt us." Us. As if there was still an us left. On Monday, something slipped. We were having dinner, and I asked if she wanted to do a weekend trip next month, just the two of us. Something spontaneous. Cabin, mountains, disconnect a little. She hesitated, just for a second, and said she didn't know her rehearsal schedule yet. The thing is, I had just looked at the studio's calendar on their website. It was clear. They were closed that entire weekend for maintenance. I didn't call her out. I just smiled and said, "No worries, we'll figure it out." Later that night, while she showered, I stood in the hallway listening to the water run, and all I could think about was how many secrets could hide behind something that sounded so ordinary. I wasn't going to confront her yet. No, I was going to give her something she couldn't ignore, a silence so heavy it would force the truth out of her on its own. It happened 3 nights ago. I'd pretended to fall asleep early, curled up on my side facing the wall, breathing slow, steady. She came into the room around midnight, tiptoeing like a cartoon thief. I could hear the floor creak in that one spot near the dresser, the one that always gives her away. I kept still, eyes closed, but everything in me was sharp. She didn't get into bed. She sat down instead. I heard the soft clicks of her phone screen lighting up. A long pause. Then the sound of typing. Not fast like texting. Slow. Hesitant. Like she was thinking hard between each word. Then, a voice. Quiet. Not hers. A man's. It wasn't loud enough to hear clearly, but I caught something. "Can't tonight." And then, "He's been weird lately." She whispered something back, but I only caught the end of it. Probably nothing. I laid there, heart beating so loud I was sure she'd hear it. She stayed there maybe 10 minutes before finally slipping into bed beside me. She didn't touch me, just turned away and pulled the blanket over her shoulders. That was the first time I felt it. Not the betrayal, not the anger, but the end. She was already gone. She just hadn't said it out loud yet. The next morning I made her coffee. Same way she likes it. Cinnamon, oat milk, 1 sugar. She came into the kitchen in her robe, yawning like nothing was wrong. Like our house wasn't full of ghosts, only I could see. She sipped it, smiled, and kissed me on the forehead. "I'll be late tonight," she said, barely making eye contact. "Extra rehearsal." I nodded. "Okay." She left at 9:12 a.m. At 9:18, I opened the drawer under the sink, pulled out the folder I'd been building in silence. Photos, screenshots, receipts, printed texts, time logs. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't heartbroken either. Something had changed. I had finally stopped begging a broken mirror to reflect something whole. By noon, I was at the office of a lawyer a friend had quietly recommended. I placed the folder on her desk and said, "I'm not here for revenge. I just want out with my head up." She flipped through the evidence. "This won't be difficult," she said. "You're more than prepared." That night, I didn't wait for her to come home. I packed a single suitcase, just clothes, my toolbox, and the USB stick I'd hidden weeks ago. I left a letter on the kitchen table. No accusations, no insults. Just a short note. "I hope whoever you've been looking for gives you the version of yourself I couldn't. I'm not angry anymore. Just done pretending. The house is yours. The peace is mine." And then I left. It's been 3 weeks. I moved into a quiet apartment above a bookstore. The guy who owns it gave me a discount after I fixed a grandfather clock he'd had in storage for years. I go for walks now. Long ones. I don't check her socials. Don't read her messages. I blocked the number, not out of bitterness, but because healing is louder than closure. And yesterday, I met someone. Not in the romantic way. Not yet. Just a woman with paint on her hands, humming to herself in the aisle next to mine. We talked about nothing. Types of paper, cheap pens, old poetry. But when I walked away, I caught myself smiling. A real smile. The first in months. Funny thing is, I thought the end of my marriage would break me. Instead, it became the most honest beginning I've ever had. She didn't expect me to smile. But I'm smiling anyway.